Is your asylum case vulnerable to unexpected pitfalls? Many deserving asylum applicants are losing their cases and even getting an order of deportation due to a common issue that's often overlooked: inconsistencies. In this video, I'll reveal how some asylum officers use these discrepancies to deny cases, and I'm going to share 8 effective strategies to safeguard your claim. And we're starting right now. I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, well, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. By the way, let me know in the comments if you've got an asylum case pending or you're considering applying. And listen, I'd especially like to hear from you if you've been waiting for an asylum interview with USCIS for multiple years. Let me know how long. So listen, we need to talk about a critical issue that's costing countless deserving people their chance at safety and freedom in the United States: inconsistencies. Some asylum officers, unfortunately, use inconsistencies as a convenient excuse to deny cases they simply don't want to approve. They might play word games or ask you tricky questions, hoping to trip you up and create inconsistencies in your testimony. And look, once they've found enough of these inconsistencies, well, they can claim that you're not credible, giving them the justification that they need to be able to deny your case, even if your claim is otherwise strong and compelling. This is the go-to rationale for denying a case where the person would otherwise be eligible for asylum. Inconsistencies are the silent killers of asylum cases. They're like tiny cracks that can bring down an entire fortress. Even if you have a rock-solid claim, seemingly small inconsistencies can make the asylum officer or immigration judge doubt everything that you're saying. And once that doubt creeps in, well, it's incredibly hard to overcome. But listen, don't worry. I'm going to share with you today the top 8 strategies to avoid inconsistencies and keep your asylum case strong. And these are insider tips that I've gathered from years of experience on both sides of the desk. But before we jump into strategies, well, let's clarify what an inconsistency is in the asylum context. So an inconsistency occurs when something that you've said or provided in writing does not line up with other statements or information in your case. So for example, if you state in your personal statement that 4 people attacked you, but then in your interview you say, well, it was 3 people, that's an inconsistency. Another example could be providing different dates for an event, like saying, for example, in your application that you fled your country on May 15th, but then stating in your interview that it was actually June 15th. These discrepancies, no matter how small they might seem to you, can seriously damage your credibility. All right, now that you know what an inconsistency is and why they matter, let's jump into the 8 strategies for avoiding them. Strategy number 1, know your story inside and out. Now listen, this might sound obvious, but you'd be amazed how many people stumble on basic details of their own experiences. You need to memorize key dates, names, and events. Study your written statement like it's the most important exam of your life, because in many ways, it is. Read it over and over and over until you can recite the main points in your sleep. Review also the evidence submitted with your case. You've got to know this stuff too. Okay, number 2, be consistent across all documents. So your asylum application, your personal statement, and any supporting evidence should all tell the same story. So even small discrepancies can raise red flags. So before you submit anything, cross-reference all your documents to ensure that they all align perfectly. You simply can't use conflicting evidence. So you'll need to discard any items that simply aren't correct or which may create the appearance of an inconsistency. All right, number 3, use qualifying language. So phrases like "to the best of my recollection" or "approximately" can actually be lifesavers. They give you a bit of wiggle room if you're not 100% certain about a detail. You should use this language both in your declaration and in your testimony on the day of your asylum interview. But listen, use these kinds of phrases sparingly, only when you really are not positive about a detail. Overuse can make you appear a bit unsure or maybe even evasive. Okay, 4, address past misrepresentations up front. This is crucial. If you've ever lied on, let's say, a visa application or to a US immigration official, or really ever misrepresented anything at all in connection with a US immigration matter, well, you need to come clean. It's better to explain a past issue like this than to be caught in a new one. Be honest about any misrepresentations and, explain why you felt compelled to do so. All right, we're at number 5. Prepare for the anything else trap. Asylum officers often use a sneaky technique by repeatedly asking, well, is there anything else? Or did they say anything else? After you've described an incident. Now, this is not just innocent curiosity. It's a calculated move to see if you'll contradict yourself. For example, let's say that you initially described a threat that you received, mentioning points A, B, and C. And so the officer might ask, okay, well, did they say anything else? And if you say no, well, they've now locked you into that answer. So later in the interview, if you happen to mention point D about the same threat, well, the officer can now claim that you're inconsistent because you previously said that there was nothing else. To avoid this trap, always pause and think carefully before answering these questions. If you're not absolutely certain, well, it's better to say something like, that's all I can recall with confidence at this moment, rather than giving a firm no. By the way, if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss the insights that I share on this channel. Okay, moving on to strategy number 6 for avoiding inconsistencies in your asylum case. Document everything and then make a list of all key dates and other details. Keep a detailed record of your experiences, including dates, locations, and names of people involved. And listen, if you received threats via text or social media, for example, take screenshots. The more documentation you have, the stronger your case will be. Take all of the details surrounding incidents of harm or threats and compile them in a single document that you'll study obsessively before your interview. All right, 7, use an interpreter if necessary. Listen, even if you speak some English, well, consider using an interpreter for your asylum interview. Legal proceedings, like an asylum interview, use specialized language, and misunderstandings can lead to inconsistencies. An interpreter can ensure that you fully understand and accurately respond to each question. And finally, number 8, remember that honesty is the best policy. This might seem obvious, but it's worth repeating. Don't be tempted to exaggerate or embellish your story. Stick to the facts, okay? Asylum officers are trained to detect deception, and once they suspect that you're not being truthful, well, it's nearly impossible to regain their trust. Now, in addition to the officer mistrusting you, they're likely to be able to spot inconsistencies in your case if you start stretching the truth. Now, let me stress this point. Inconsistencies do not always mean that you're lying. Often they're the result of trauma, stress, or simple human error. But unfortunately, they can be interpreted as signs of deception, which is why it's so crucial to avoid them. Listen, the asylum process is complex and high stakes. It's not just about having a valid claim, it's about presenting that claim in a clear, consistent, and credible manner. And by following these strategies we've discussed today, you'll be better equipped to navigate this challenging process and maximize your chances for asylum success. If you're ready to take the next step and get help with your asylum case, then call my office today. That number is 713-909-0401. And remember, we help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you live. Call us right now to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your asylum journey.